Welcome to this News 13 special honoring Black history. I'm your host, Trish Williford. February is Black History Month, and throughout the month, we take time to celebrate and honor the contributions African Americans have made throughout history, the legacies left behind, and the paths forged for future generations. We begin our special today with an historic cure made right in our own backyard. A 14-year-old pageant queen from the PD is the first pediatric patient to be cured from sickle cell disease using gene therapy. She and her brother both suffered from the debilitating disease since birth. And as News 13's Annette Pagler explains, the siblings were cured by 2 different treatments by the same doctor.
Ashanti and Dontrell Pickens endured severe pain for more than the first decade of their lives before their treatments. Sickle cell disease is a genetic blood disorder that affects the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen. It primarily affects African Americans. It's traditionally a lifelong condition, but thanks to modern treatments and a determined doctor, this pair is officially cured.
Me and my family have a lot of faith in this house. We believe in ourselves, and most of all, keep God by your side.
Ashanti Pickens isn't your typical teenager. She's wise beyond her years. You may remember a few years back when she was on WBTW talking about competing in pageants while battling sickle cell disease.
In the 9th grade, and I actually made the AB honor roll for the first time, and this is something I'm very, very proud of. And I feel like me having sickle cell also took a place where me not being able to make AB honor roll, because it's actually a lot to take on, like keeping up with your grades, keeping up with pageantry, keeping up with different hobbies, activities.
Ashanti and her older brother Dontrell have spent a majority of their lives in and out of hospitals.
I had to deal with not going outside in the cold weather. I had to deal with different type of pain. Some day I might have a lot of energy. Next day I might be very, very sleepy.
Their mother, Toni Yates, has been by their side during every hospital visit since birth. Their family would also come to visit.
They would come up to the hospital for Christmas and stuff like that. I had to spend Christmas in the hospital. They would come for holidays, weekends, just to be there and support.
Yates found out she had the sickle cell trait when she was pregnant with Dontrell. Her doctors said Dontrell could eventually contract sickle cell. They told Yates she could terminate the pregnancy because her son would eventually succumb from the disease. But Yates' gut said no.
I waited until he was 2 weeks old, and then I found out he had sickle cell, and then that's when my life changed.
She consulted with Dr. Carla Roberts, the siblings' primary hematologist in Columbia, who then referred Dontrell to Dr. Jennifer Jurasic, formerly at MUSC in Charleston.
So sickle cell is a really debilitating disease. In South Carolina, it is part of the newborn screening. So parents are alerted right away if their child is born with sickle cell disease, and they're referred to a sickle cell treatment center. And there are 3 different centers in South Carolina.
So how exactly does sickle cell work?
Most red blood cells are round, and in people who have sickle cell disease, when they're exposed to low oxygen concentrations, their red blood cells change shape into something that looks like a sickle. And then those sickled cells have a more difficult time passing through the small blood vessels. And over time, they damage the blood vessels.
Dontrell kept having severe strokes, and his mom and doctor knew something had to be done.
I talked to Toni about doing a half-matched bone marrow transplant from Dontrell's father. So it was a new therapy that had shown really promising results in adults.
Although Dr. Jurasic wasn't so sure about the treatment on children, Dontrell went through the transplant like a champ.
We went to that appointment, though, for the consultation on Dontrell. Dr. Jennifer met Ashanti, and she said, "Are you going to cure me too?" And Dr. J was like, "Yes," and I told her I can't cure one kid and not cure the other.
As for Ashanti, Dr. Jurasic says she was the perfect candidate for gene therapy.
We collected Ashanti's cells, then we sent them to the gene therapy company, and they genetically modified her cells so that they turned back on fetal hemoglobin. And fetal hemoglobin doesn't sickle. Blocking the blocker of fetal hemoglobin, they were able to actually turn that gene back on and cause Ashanti to start making fetal hemoglobin, which keeps her asymptomatic.
Currently, the teens spend most of their time at school and doing things normal teenagers do. Ashanti is a cheerleader, and Dontrell will be a senior next year.
I want to be a pediatric hematologist. My doctors and my nurses actually inspire me to become a doctor or a nurse.
Their story is a testament of faith, and their mom hopes other parents going through a similar situation will be encouraged.
I didn't understand why God gave me 2 kids with sickle cell. That was devastating to me. But he gave them to me and he cured them 2 different ways.
Yates has started a nonprofit called Sickle Cell is Curable in hopes of raising awareness to help other parents with kids suffering from sickle cell. To find out more about it, just go to our website, WBTW.com.
The town of Atlantic Beach holds a long and rich history since it was established in the early 1930s. Now, many buildings there will see that history preserved as they receive recognition on the National Register of Historic Places. News 13's Maddie Kataspati reports.
Residents of Atlantic Beach gathered to recognize 2 historic buildings receiving the honor of being placed on the National Registry, an honor that Mayor Pro Tem John David says comes after decades of hard work.
Well, first, I'm blessed that the previous people, George Tyson and all the people that have helped keep Atlantic Beach and get Atlantic Beach incorporated and make us what we are today.
The first building recognized was Woods Villa, a former hotel and restaurant built by bricklayer Leonard Evans.
This place right here provided lodging, restaurants, and just to give people that family vacation feel.
The villas are now owned by Evans' grandson, Titus Leaks, who grew up in the town.
For this place to be recognized on a historical level, on a national level, it's a dream come true.
Also recognized was the Gibson Bailey House, one of the first residential properties built in the town. Matthew Bailey, whose family has owned the home for 3 generations, says the honor drove him to learn more about the home he spent most of his life in.
What this opportunity, I guess, allowed me to do is just to learn more about my house, you know? I mean, I've spent countless hours in here, but I didn't really know the length to which, all of this is so important.
Part of this honor restricts changes to the home, which both Bailey and Leak say is important.
I think overall it's definitely a positive thing just because that history is so important and we don't want to lose it.
Like I said, it's the work of my grandfather, so just for me to be able to finish what he started and just keep the original structure, it's amazing.
Still to come, learning the lessons of history through music. We'll introduce you to the high school teacher taking his students on a journey through sound. Welcome back to this News 13 special honoring Black history. For more than 3 decades, Sammy Logan has been teaching music in Virginia Beach. His devotion to his students goes far beyond just being an educator. He's also a mentor, introducing them to the world of music and the important role Black musicians have played. Katie Collette has his story.
Let's do a canon. Who wants to go first?
For 32 years, Sammy Logan has been the heart and soul of song at Cape Henry Collegiate.
Love, guys, we want to have that A at the end.
Mr. Logan is the director of choral activities at the private school in Virginia Beach. However, his own education started in the public school system not far away in Portsmouth and then Norfolk.
Elementary school was Laura E. Titus Elementary School, no longer there. Ruffner Middle School. And I was headed to Booker T. Washington High, but then there was busing and I was moved over to Morey High School. So I graduated from Morey.
He got his degree at Old Dominion University and then answered an ad for a music teacher at Cape Henry.
The head of school at that time was someone who was really very interested in the diversity of the campus.
Mr. Logan said Cape was different than anything he'd experienced.
I had not been in a private school setting. All of my education was public and it was urban.
But as is often the case, different was good. This son of a pastor began incorporating Black history, including gospel music, into his lessons.
Richard Smallwood is a name that's revered in gospel music. His recent passing is something that I've spoken to the kids about because we've done some of his music. So his Total Praise selection has made its way into our repertoire and our students enjoy that piece.
Mr. Logan has fine-tuned Cape Henry's chorus program using his passion for music and love of his students, taking them to perform in some amazing places. Sammy Logan creating his own history at Cape as he wrote the school's alma mater. As for his students embracing Black history and music,
they're all in, so I think we are pretty close musically to having the type of diversity of sound that the country needs and appreciates.
And that was Katie Collette reporting. And while we're speaking of music, let's head on over to the funk music capital of the world, Dayton, Ohio. Funk is a musical style dating back more than 60 years, blending a number of different genres to create its own unique sound. Kayla Ferris explores the rich history and legacy of this musical art form.
God took his foot and stepped in the Miami Valley. The sweat off of God's feet ran into the water. That's what makes Dayton funky. My name is David R. Webb Sr. I'm the founder and CEO or executive director of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center, DBA or AKA the Funk Center. When I created this organization back in maybe a couple of decades ago, we wanted to make sure funk music was on the forefront. It just made you move and groove and listen to Papa Got a Brand New Bag. And you know, I say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. That was big. Then later on in life, you know, there was a great migration from the South to the North for jobs and industries, and it landed in Dayton, Ohio.
You mentioned how in the 60s, right, funk music helped with what was going on during those times. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Let's go back to the civil unrest in America during the Vietnam War. James Brown played a pivotal role. Why Can't We Be Friends and by the group War. Back then, music was a message. Music is harmony. Music does not have a color barrier. And funk music is a lost art form where we're bringing it back to life.
When you say funk music is on the one, tell me what that means. For the people watching, let them know what that means.
James Brown says it's on the one, it's on the one, it's on the beat, it's on the downbeat.
Wait, can you teach me a little bit of this? Because I want to.
You'd be like, with your bad self, say it loud.
Right.
I'm black and I'm proud. You know?
I see you. Okay. What's next for the Funk Center?
We're working with the city of Trotwood to bring the Funk Center to the city of Trotwood, the old Sears site. Yes, it's a heavy lift. We understand it takes money, but we need to support everybody around the world to donate. We're looking for people who want to be on our advisory board. We want people to come in as grant writers to help out.
And you even mentioned that you gave your retirement savings up?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I don't have a retirement. I'm all in. I'm all in. When I move on to better things in life or pass on, I hope people remember me in history as David Webb, the funk guy.
That was Kayla Ferris reporting. Well, still to come, if you've driven in Myrtle Beach, you've seen his name, but who is Mr. Joe White? We'll introduce you to this Myrtle Beach icon next. Thanks for staying with us. Anyone who has driven in Myrtle Beach has seen it. Mr. Joe White Avenue. He is woven into the fabric of the city as much as palmetto trees and sand dunes. Well, back in 2002, the city renamed part of 10th Avenue North in honor of Julius Joe White. Born in Georgetown in 1910, he moved to Myrtle Beach and became a self-described shoe stylist at the age of 7, shining shoes for 5 cents a pair. White put his skill to work at a number of barbershops, eventually earning himself a chair at Shining Shoes at Woody's Barbershop, another Myrtle Beach landmark for 30 years, where Mr. Joe, as he came to be called, made a name for himself not just as a shoe stylist, but as a man of faith who cared deeply for the community and everyone in it.
Always the smile, which to me was encouragement. You know, I'm here. I'm a part of your village.
Mr. Joe White died in 1997, but his legacy lives on at the Myrtle Beach Colored School Museum and Education Center. And if you get a chance, stop by Woody's Barbershop. Mr. Joe's chair is still there. Well, another man with humble beginnings, Gordon Parks. He's an internationally known photographer, filmmaker, writer, and musician. He got his start in Fort Scott, Kansas, and that's where you'll find a museum that bears his name in recognition of his achievements in the face of adversity. Dustin Latimer shows us how the museum came to be.
From birth, Fort Scott, Kansas native Gordon Parks was faced with adversity. As the youngest of 15 children, success as an African American was stacked against him.
He ends up really on his own as a teenager, and he fought, but he could always remember his mother asking him to stay true to who he was.
Growing up, Parks remained grounded and chose to express himself creatively, mostly through photography.
He was completely self-taught and just started making a name for himself. Probably the most well-known that he ever was with Life magazine. And that's where he gained national recognition. But then it was from there that he got opportunities to do things like become a filmmaker.
Upon his death at the age of 93, Parks was internationally known, not only as a photographer, but as a composer, author, poet, and filmmaker, documenting issues facing African Americans such as civil rights and poverty.
His life is something we all can learn from and admire, because he had opportunities where he could have said no at any time and no one would have faulted him, but his perseverance kept moving forward. And it's a great story for the younger generation.
Now the story of Gordon Parks lives on. Before his death in 2008, Parks attended the first ever Gordon Parks celebration in his hometown of Fort Scott and gifted many of his works of art to what was then the Gordon Parks Center.
When we had our very first celebration in 2004, Gordon was so moved after that celebration, he donated a lot of his photography and some of his personal items.
With the help of grants and the blessing of Parks, the Gordon Parks Museum was completed in 2009 inside the Ellis Fine Arts Center at Fort Scott Community College.
I think it was important for him that that museum be here, just as it was important for him when he passed to be buried here.
The museum is now home to one of the largest collections of Gordon Parks' personal effects and memorabilia.
Everybody takes something different away because of the broad scope of his talent. That there's if you go in there and start to walk around and read and listen and view, I would say it would be impossible to be untouched. You're going to be touched by something that you see there.
And that was Dustin Latimer reporting. Still ahead, a young woman making her mark through her art, telling a story of hidden emotion and lived experiences through the eyes of a Black woman. Welcome back. Before we go, a young artist in Ohio is using clay to explore themes of race, identity, and personal history. Her exhibit, called If I Could, shines a light on the often dark corners of generational trauma while thoroughly examining what it means to exist as a Black woman in America. Dave Sess reports from Youngstown.
Leah Sidney shares with Westminster art students and enthusiasts her latest works. It's a collection called If I Could.
I hope to really inform and educate people, kind of make them ask themselves a question about who they are and how they see others around them.
The pieces placed around the room include ceramic vessels and figurative sculptures. One of them broke on accident. The artist is getting you to think as you move around the show.
Understanding what the connections are, even though the pieces themselves, vessels to sculpture, are pretty different.
Leah Sidney wants it to be a power statement, which is why you see hair in a few of the pieces. One, called Thorns, relates to an experience where someone commented on Leah's hair and then touched it without asking. She felt the person was policing her about her hair.
And I really kind of kept it inside for many years of how I truly felt about that backlash. So I want to push against those stereotypes and assert myself in how I feel.
Clay was used in some of the pieces. Sidney did it to mirror her emotions because the material holds memory but allows for transformation and resilience. She shares her Black identity and offers a hope for solution to situations surrounding other Black Americans. Sidney hopes many will check out the display.
Because it's inclusive, it's a space where people can be themselves, it's a space where people can be honest about how they feel without any barriers.
An extraordinary young woman with a story to tell like others before her and for generations to come. Thank you for watching this WBTW News 13 special honoring Black history. I'm Trish Williford.